because it's so important that this Discord stay here. It really is. I know in my heart this is going to be one of the most legendary places on the internet.
Yeah, there's also nothing to fear. While we want to keep it as safe as possible, we're
Right.
also backing everything up and have alternatives ready to go in case worse
Mhm.
comes to worse. But of course, we want to protect the place as much as possible.
Like, what is it? We have someone, some one place that we have.
I mean, if you think about it, this is like if there is some kind of revolution or you know flat
Uh-huh.
earthers win, to keep it simple, in the long run, this is going to be in history books. Like everything from this Discord to any revolutionary that stands in front of what it is that we believe or know. Just
Yep.
think about it. The storyline is this: for majority of the time that the Earth has been here, people were flat earthers. Then 100 years came along, and everybody's a globe earther. And then this revolution rises, and then the world is quote unquote saved.
It was never this organized before. This place is like, I'll always defend it as the number one place to go to. Are you talking about Gilded, Trace?
What?
The app Gilded, or do you have other backups?
Oh no, I'm not in charge of that. I just know that
Uh,
we have excellent people working to try to maintain everything and keep everything good in case of worst case scenarios. And yeah, like we have a lot of people who are very dedicated and trying to do their best. And yeah, I believe this is gonna continue to snowball. Like there's no stopping this.
you know, and it's the limbs out there, like the people out there on the other social media platforms that have really done like their due diligence in extending the conversation out everywhere. But like I always revert back to this place right here. This is the central nervous system. This is the hub. This is, uh, you want to come and sit down and have a conversation. We're here 24 hours a day. This is the helpline.
Yeah, but that's also why it's so important for us to try to remain neutral and allow all sides to gather at the table. We have an agreement upon the fundamental principles. Um, our differences don't matter as much as the differences between us and them.
That's right. No, they don't. They really don't.
I feel like it's a luxury to know the truth, and I feel like everybody should see it that way. Obviously, I can't tell anybody how to think, but just to know the truth
Right.
is luxurious. I'm blessed. This is a gift to me.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Like, I don't know if I've ever told you before, Kenshi, but when I first came to Flat Earth, and I just like the entire facade dropped, right? Like the globe was completely out of my mind, and everything Flat Earth made sense to me. Like I immediately began to feel like I was breaking even with the world for the very first time. Like you always feel like you're just under, you can't ever break even. You're always struggling to get to that ceiling, but you're always just right under the ceiling. And then once you find flat earth, like the ceiling goes away and you just keep rising and rising and rising. You're no longer, confined.
Exactly. I mean, it kind of gives you I feel like it gives you kind of an edge on life, really, because you know where you are. You know that you've been lied to. You know that you're capable of being lied to and what extent that you're capable of being lied to. So when you know that, I feel like it kind of gives you some power back, you know, like you said.
Yeah. If you come across it as like the first lie, like, you haven't discovered the other lies or any of the other lies. This is the first lie that you're trying to prove yourself to. It's kind of hard because it's like, why would they lie about something this big, right? Or how could they lie about something this big and it's so simple? And it's like, well, think about it. Like it's so big you don't even notice, right? Yeah, like it's so big you don't notice gas pressure without a container. It's so big you don't notice that it's flat. So big you don't notice that it's stationary, or you notice it's flat and stationary, and you don't see gas pressure without containment. But it's so big you have to just trust us anyway. And it's like why do I have to trust you? Why can't I prove it to myself? When you try to do that, you realize it's a lot harder than you think, if not impossible.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it should be easier for people to accept it, even though it's not. Like, I kind of feel like I would think it would be, though, because the
Mhm.
moon landing, that's a lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people don't believe that. So
Right.
the same people who really don't believe it, they think flat earthers are full of it. It's kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a clip for this.
Explain it to people, everybody will get it, but they don't.
No, but I think that's the way the world works. I mean, I think the people who think seriously about an issue and may even change their mind, like you did, that you're in a rare category, and but you're an opinion maker and you're a thought leader, and that means you're going to just be talking to a narrow group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yep. And the craziest thing when you really get into deep thought about this is that even if everybody became a flat earther, there would be another truth. There would be another thing that people don't know. There's always going to be something, just like there was before the globe earth came around. So, I mean, but with that said, I'm still thinking if flat earth is exposed now, then nobody's going to trust any government. So it is still
Right.
going to be a progression, but, just looking at it from both angles.
Yeah, I think that's why they're trying to slow burn us and censor us and stuff like that. And that's why the acceleration of the agenda is happening so fast, because
Mhm.
they need things to progress to the point where they can be the ones who reveal it using all of our arguments, employing us as a unpaid think tank to construct their arguments for them. That's why we don't get mainstream press. They don't want to talk to us because we're not supposed to be the ones giving you this information.
Yeah. No, and I agree about that in the sense that I like, because I thought about it. I'm like how could they flip it back on us and say that we always knew it was flat and take credit for it? And what I'm thinking is like they're gonna blame Russia for the space race, and they had to do something in order to shut Russia up. And so they had to fake the moon landing to get the whole world on the US's side. And that's why they had to lie, because Russia bad. That's the only thing I can think of. And it makes perfect sense. Like, oh, we had to lie. It was for your protection. But no, what's going to be funny is all the people out there that are going to be left with their junk flapping in the wind, because while they're holding themselves, because they mocked us for so long, and then the truth is going to come out, and it's going to be realized.
Yeah, but when you're dealing with narcissistic, sociopathic, or psychotic individuals, they're just gonna be like, well, I told them it was flat all along, and then you show them evidence they didn't, and they're like, well, deep faked it.
Right. And no, and you understand that, like you came from a background where you got to see that all the time. You woke up from that, and I commend you for that. I kind of came from a similar background, not like yours, but like I felt like I was taught all the wrong things in life. Like nobody ever showed me how to do the right things,
Yeah.
and then like I finally came to the conclusion as an adult. It's like, all right, well, if I don't do the wrong things, then I must be doing something right. So as long as I don't do the wrong things, I'm okay. I know it's wrong. Don't do those things. Do something else. And so that's where my journey began, and I went on to explore other things. And I'm sure that's how it was for you. Like once you came to your own knowledge and light and everything, you're like, all right, well, I got to do something else. I can't continue doing these things, and it grows you.
Yeah, I like to think that I've walked in 1,000 shoes, because like when I was young, uh, like I think I was 12 years old. Uh, I I had gone through a lot of stuff, and my dad went to prison,
Oh
and
wow!
at that point, I had some annoying habits, saying words that I like didn't want to say, uh, and so I practiced, and my mom had all these occult books on how to control your mind and all this stuff. So I just, okay, I can probably do this. So I practiced until I got control of my habit and changed it and changed myself. And since then, I've always just changed myself if something isn't working.
Right.
And I continued to change myself until I became something I didn't want to be, and kind of felt like I was destroying myself. And so that experience kind of like, and especially the creator thing, because that experience kind of shaped me into who I am. But up to that point, I was always trying to live up to the standard of Jesus Christ. You know, I was trying to be like as good as possible, while at the same time I was deluding myself uh, and denying things I was doing that were not what Christ would have done.
Right. No, that's I did the similar thing. Like sometimes you have to accept it at that and move on, move forward, because there's going to be other opportunities, and like otherwise you're just going to be constantly tearing down the day. Every day the day gets torn down, and you can't build on that if you're tearing down every day. You got to be able to live your life. Look at you now. You're a wonderful father and a wonderful husband.
Well, I'm not a husband. I'm not a father.
Oh, you're not. Yeah, I thought you were. I thought you had.
I took my father's place because he was a sore excuse for a human being,
I hear
and
you.
I took care of my mom and I took care of my grandma, and I replaced him for my little sisters, and I became like their father.
Gotcha.
And in so doing, I completely like, because the first half of my life I was focused on myself. I was self-absorbed, egocentric. The second half of my life, I spent completely altruistically on everybody else.
Gotcha.
And now I'm
Well,
like trying to find a balance. Like I'm trying to get there.
I thought you and Karma had a kid together. But I guess.
He's my brother, you dude.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
The middle sister
I
lived
never
here.
knew that. Y'all got me so
I
mixed
didn't
up
know
for
that either.
3 years.
You not know. We talk about this all the goddamn time.
No,
Yeah,
you don't. No,
I'm
you
with
don't.
I'm with you, bro. I thought it was you know.
the middle
It's
sister. The middle sister got pregnant
now I know.
by an American, and then she lived here, and the relationship broke up, and she got depressed, and then we just had to take care of the child for 5 years.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Gotcha.
It's also, might I mention, okay, other than the fact I'm going to say two things. Number one, like, we keep referring to our mom as our mom. We keep referring to our sister as our sister. And there's been so many, like, small hints throughout the conversation that obviously we're siblings. So I think it's hilarious when people miss this. But the second thing I wanted to mention was because, for instance, mom's ideology, she has higher core value honesty. Dad did not have that. Drace, he leaned more towards that when he came back home. He was more towards like mom with the honesty thing.
Well, mom, I wouldn't say mom was all the way honesty. She did preach it, but she didn't
Practice.
do what she preached.
Right.
Yeah, but the illusion was kept up decently when you're a child and stuff like that. So she did incorporate some honesty values in us as young children, and I appreciate that from her, even if she doesn't realize when she's being dishonest with herself. But hey, nobody's perfect. But what I wanted to point out is I found that a bit intimidating, sometimes scary. So when Drace comes back, uh,
I know
I
his name's not Drace, by the way, because I heard the story and like I guess nobody could pronounce Drace's name correctly, so you just use Drace.
Oh no, I also get called Trace in the house because I played video games with all of them, mom included. So mom calls me Trace, just like everybody else.
That's so funny. Anyway, go ahead, keep going, Karma.
yeah, I was just gonna say because, for instance, when he comes back into my life, I finally have a male role model because I rejected that as a role model. And for instance, for a long time, I found any man that reminded me of that, I would subconsciously avoid because I would find that as a red flag. But when Drace comes around and he's this positive male role model, I get a father figure, and that's the father figure I had in my life. However, our middle sister always sought out Dad and really took him as her role model and learned a lot of his crazy shit and kind of took the worst from both parents, if that makes sense. So it's
It's attention seeking at the end of the day.
yeah. You should see her social media.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, now that I've like done a deep dive into your life, and now I know you a little better. We can move on to back to the topic at hand. Anywho, well, since I got you here, Karma, you both of y'all here, what do y'all think about recently the talk about trying to do away with the experiment part of the scientific method?
Then it's not the scientific method anymore.
I know, but that's what
Who's trying to do
the
that?
scientists there's a debate out right now in the science community. Like, do we really need the experimentation part of the scientific method in order to scientifically have evidence of something? And so the argument is one of the arguments is like, no, we don't need it because observation is sufficient enough. Observation and data collection is sufficient enough.
Yeah, this is the problem. This is the problem when they allowed the pseudoscientists to be called science just because they had actionable and useful data.
Right.
Like, you can't be mixing categories. Not the same thing. Like looking
Right.
at things in the sky and saying, "Well, I believe it's a cucumber," does not mean it's a cucumber.
Right.
It's kind of like that thing where they were trying to push, in journalism school, where they were trying to push that there was no such thing as I can't say the word right now.
Objective
Objectivity.
truth.
There we go. I got it. And trying to push that, like, your opinions and things like that are just as valid as some crazy shit, basically trying to undermine the basics, the fundamentals of journalism. And that's the same thing you're describing with science. And they do this with every aspect of culture. It's just a question of how far can they push the boundaries.
Yeah, it's just a corruption of a discipline in general. It happens over time. And as you allow more corrupt developments to join you, eventually the corrupt developments will outnumber the actual scientists, and they will claim the title for themselves.
Mm-hmm. No, that was the way I saw it. It's like it would have been like a 2 or 3 generational thing. Not like our generation wouldn't have succumbed to it because like there'd be just so much debate going on. But by the second, third generation after us, they would be getting books in school talking about, well, this is settled science now because the debate is over.
Yeah, if people don't stand up and fight for actual science, then science will completely die.
But it was interesting though, right? So this was in that Twitter space, Flat Earth Fridays. And, that was a heated argument. The Globe side was arguing. It's like a couple of people on the Globe side were arguing for doing away with the experimentation part. And then all of us flat earthers were arguing for keeping it because it's important to, establish the independent variable and manipulate it. So that way you can establish cause and effect relationship. Cause you can look at an effect, but if you want to know science, if you want to have knowledge, science is knowledge. You want to have science of the what's going on in the natural world. You're going to have to find out the cause, and so you have to establish that cause and effect relationship. And so we made that argument. And it's like good 4.5 hours of that, and then 100 Crypto Keys comes in and says, y'all have been making this argument and you've been like adamantly standing your ground because you're like, you got to be on the side of the globe. But basically saying that observation is sufficient enough, you're proven the flat Earth for us right now. Like we go out and make observations all the time, and you complain that we don't have any science to back it up.
Well, yeah. According to them, that's science.
And they well, that's different. That's different. It's like, oh, so that's how it works, right? Whenever it's flat Earth, whatever proves flat Earth wrong, that's what we got to go with.
Yeah, they keep trying to move the goalpost, but the goalpost is always on a flat Earth, so they can never win.
Yeah.
Like the ball's already in the goal. You can move the goalpost all you want, but the ball is already in the goal. Game over. Flat Earth wins.
Yeah. The problem with it is like they're Alzheimer patients playing football, and we've actually scored 64 goals, and they don't remember.
Oh, it's the now that one didn't count.
Yeah, they're just arguing with the judge.
The referee's on their side. He's going, I wasn't looking. You're gonna have to do it again.
Classic.
I do gotta say, like, so one thing I've started to do in the arguments when they red herring, I tell them that they conceded the argument until we go back to the argument that was originally at hand. If they continue to red herring, like when they say, well, what about sunsets? And then you describe sunsets. Well, what about gravity? It's okay. So you conceded sunsets. No, I didn't concede sunsets. Well, then let's keep talking about sunsets until you concede.
Yeah. It's kind of important because it's a method for them to forget the conversation and feel like they still won.
Mhm.
Because they don't want to go deeper into the conversation and actually realize that they're wrong, so they're jumping to something else that they think they have a gotcha on.
If you
Or
think about it,
realize that, I was
sorry,
gonna
you
say,
can
or
go.
realize. I was just gonna say real quick, or realize that they don't know as much as they thought they knew about the conversation, and that you know more.
Yeah.
Go
The
ahead,
funny
Carl.
thing is, you see it also in young children. It's the classic try to distract you from the thing they don't want you to talk about. Like, for instance, if you have a young child and you're trying to be like, talk to them about something they've done wrong and they know they've done wrong. So even if they haven't like fully acknowledged it in their mind, they're gonna try to start distracting, put the blame somewhere else, try to spin out of it, try to go, oh my god, what's that over there? Try to get you to look at something else. All these tactics you can see in children, just not as eloquently used.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just overgrown children. They're babies in overgrown bodies.
Well, and that's why they always teach all this stuff at an early age to children, because they're not even equipped with the rhetoric to ask the correct question to demand a more qualifiable answer.
Yeah, they don't teach them logic before so that they
Mm-mm.
don't go, wait a minute, that's a contradiction.
Even though when they teach that stuff, like when I asked my daughter, when they teach you about the solar system, what do they teach you about? She'll tell me, and I'm like, well, what do you think about it? I don't know. I'm like, you don't think that it's kind of weird? Like when you go outside and you look up in the sky, you see the sun and the moon and the planets the way that they show you in the solar system? No.
It's
But it
also
makes them
because,
think.
oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the way the education system is set up, it's not exactly set up to inspire the inquisitive spirit or curiosity or the will to learn. It's more about inflating your ego, getting your pride involved in it. It's about regurgitating information, and the first thing they inverted the whole way you should be taught how the learning process should
Mhm.
go. It's so messed up.
Right. And I mean, like, so we all know logically that up is up and down is down. And so when they were trying to create, like, to invert up and down, like, how do you invert up and down when up is so logically easily explained? Like, anybody can you say, well, what is up? And then people just look up. And that's simple, right? So how do we invert that? Well, it was deceptive, and it was I got hats off to them. I got to give them credit. But like, you can make up and down the same by making it a ball instead of a flat plane, right? Like, up is out, so up in one direction is down in another direction. Like, it was genius.
It follows the same theme that they employ a lot, which is trying to make the objective subjective. Because so long as it's subjective, they can always apply feels before reals, rhetoric and sophistry.
Yep.
They just keep trying to push people into that mind state.
Yeah. And yeah, sophistry, it goes back to Miggy's mind virus. Like, that was like, I give Miggy the credit. He probably did come up with it. It was probably refined by all of y'all. But like, whoever came up with it, like, hats off to you for finding the mind virus and putting it into that analogy, because that's exactly what it is. Someone plants an idea in your head, and they just keep just reinstating. I'm not thinking of the right word though. Reinforcing. They keep reinforcing it over and over and over again until you like submit to it and accept it. That like how do you know if you are alive? What if you're just a vat in a jar, or what if you're somebody else's imagination? And
Yeah, if they just understood logic, they would understand that that's just an argument to possibility, or argument from probability. I could possibly be a brain in a jar. I might probably be this or that. Like, you can imagine endless things. It
right,
does not change the objective reality.
right. But I know,
Yeah, but
like,
the more they manage to undermine the objective into subjective, the more objective reality that you think is subjective, the easier it is to make you feel inconfident, insecure, not confident about it. So it's easier to sway you.
yeah,
That's why they keep logic from you, so that you think you're being logical because you saw Sherlock Holmes use fallacies.
yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. The television programming is pretty damn bad.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I guarantee if somebody from like 1945 in their 20s time traveled to the current time right now and tried to watch TV, they'd be like, "What in the world is going on?"
Yeah, and it'd be even worse the further back you go, like the 1900s, when they still had the trivium in the schools. Like, when people were, the first things you learned were logic and rhetoric. If that's your foundation, like, it's so much harder to lie to you, because you're like, wait a minute, why are you using a fallacy? Bring a coherent argument, otherwise I'm not gonna just believe you for no reason. That's an error in reasoning. And so, like, the society as a whole is so much better off if everyone understood logic, but they relegated it to like an obscure branch of philosophy.
Yeah, they made it seem like it was outdated.
Yeah, you can see it in the movies as well. They relegated it to philosophy, and then in all the movies, they made fun of philosophy as a as a as a as a thing that if you went into it, you would make no money. I've seen like at least 100 references to that over the years in all of the media.
Oh, for sure. I understand now when I talk to the older generation from me. I'm 41, but when I talk to the older generation from me, or people of my generation, they say, "Oh, I don't like slapstick comedy. I don't like slapstick humor." I understand that now, because like anybody can get up in front of a group and act like an imbecile and act retarded and and be stupid, right? And whether somebody laughs or not is irrelevant to what the person is actually doing. It takes a talented person to go up there with logic and knowledge and wisdom and wit and form a coherent joke that really
Yeah.
touches you at the core.
It's also, in my opinion, a lot of the times the slapstick that you see in common shows and stuff
Mhm.
isn't even slapstick. It's almost wrapped up in that packaging with the laugh
Mhm.
track and the soundtrack.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, if you take some episodes of Friends and you change the soundtrack, they
Mhm.
genuinely are just acting like sociopaths and psychopaths.
Yep.
And
It's sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, and sadists. That's why you see them laughing at people getting hurt. That's sadism. That's why you
Mhm.
see them using fallacies and being so self-obsessed. That's narcissism. That's why you see them being so callous and cruel and ignoring the laws. That's sociopathic and psychopathic behavior.
Mhm.
but then
Mhm.
again, if you look at shows that are really good or movies that are really good, if you have slapstick in that, it's usually nuanced and it's usually like situational. So it's a comedic relief in an unexpected way, which way in a way where it's subverting your expectations.
Yeah.
It has to be thought out if you're gonna make it good.
Yeah. Good writing is good writing. There's a lot of bad writing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's because they seem to prioritize propaganda over creativity nowadays.
Yep. And penalize people who are of a different persuasion, and so when you get rid of all of your creatives and you only take in zealous people who only have rhetoric and no actual basis for their beliefs, you're going to end up with a bunch of nonsense that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. It takes a lot to capture my mind nowadays. Like ever since I woke up in 2017, started waking up in 2017. Um, like the more and more as time goes on, like I don't watch TV anymore. I don't listen to the radio anymore. I listen to podcasts that are informative, that stimulate my mind. There's certain podcasts like I like listening to Eddie Bravo's podcast because I also like martial arts. So he's kind of a truther and a martial artist, and
Yeah, I love
so
Eddie.
you get both of them. But you know, I find it hard to listen to a lot of media because it's propaganda. It comes down to propaganda. I like to formulate my own opinion.
I get you. I watch quite a bit of alternative media that covers the media just because I like to
Okay,
be aware of what they are trying to tell people. But
right.
I take all of that with a grain of salt, and that's why I like alternative media covering mainstream media, because
Mhm.
then you get the mainstream view and you get extra tidbits that oftentimes really fuck with the mainstream view.
Right.
Still gotta know what your enemy's up to.
Every once in a while, I'll put it on CNN. It takes about 10 minutes, and I'm caught up on a month's worth of watching.
Yeah, I don't need to watch CNN because I watch Mark Dice on YouTube,
Okay. Okay.
and he's a media analyst who writes really good books. I highly recommend his books. And
I've heard of him before. I think I might follow him. I'm not sure on
yeah,
Twitter.
he's a really cool dude, and he's really funny as well. Especially he covers CNN so that you don't have to watch it, and
It's awesome.
he voices over Brian Stelter in the most hilarious way possible.
That's funny.
I've even seen video where other people are even like referencing it and like try to do the Stelter voice. It's hilarious.
I got a couple of Twitter, or not Twitter, YouTube channels to reference to watch. See if I can find them.
Cool.
Redacted. Have you ever heard of that the channel Redacted?
Sounds a little familiar, but
It's alternative news.
We've
Um,
definitely seen some videos
we've
because
seen,
I
seen
know the name.
some videos from it, but I don't think it's one of my the primary ones I watch regularly.
Right. I'll put them on every once in a while. They keep me up to date with world events, right? And like what's going on in different uh, political houses for different countries. Like what's up going on in Congress versus what's going on in Parliament. Like they keep
Yeah,
me informed.
I love watching Congress. I like watch a bunch of Forbes clips and even long form if I find it a very interesting discussion. I just
Right,
can't stand the Democrats.
bro. um, the Next News Network. Have you ever heard of them?
Uh-huh.
N3. They have the N3 logo.
No, I don't think so. I've heard of Newsmax.
No, it's not Newsmax. This is one guy, and he basically like watches the news. Maybe he's almost kind of like Alex Jones, but it's just from his perspective. You know, Alex Jones gives it from his perspective. The guy that does the Next News Network gives his perspective, and
Okay.
so pretty good one. So there's a guy named Bad Wolf. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's got a long story, long history. His YouTube channel was John Mark Dugan. I don't know if he still has that. It might have been removed because of what he was doing. So he's a former Marine, U.S. Marine, became a police officer, and he was down there in Broward. I think it was Broward County, or right around there where Trump was at. And that county, he was a sheriff in that county for like 10 years, and he found corruption going on. And so he reported it. Well, the FBI got involved, and he found out quickly that they were all corrupted, including the judge that was there. And like like he was getting all of them on tape, pretending to be a girl, getting a voice changer app, and pretending to be a girl, and getting them to divulge information and recording it all, and basically had it all for blackmail. Well, he got on a hit list. Somebody tried to kill him, but a friend of his gave him a heads up. And instead of going home that night, he bought a plane ticket out of the country and left the country, moved to Russia, and sought asylum, political asylum there, and eventually got asylum in Russia. So now lives in Russia. But like he's been covering the Russian side of the news, so to speak.
That's interesting.
So I recommend him Bad Wolf or Bad Wolf, because the W is a V sound over there. So Bad VOLF is his was his hacker name. He's a hacker. He still is a hacker. But he basically street walks and shows you the truth. Like shows you what's really going on day to day, everywhere he goes. Refreshing. That's pretty much it. Got the new
I like the
FIFA
thicker
game.
ones.
Oh,
I don't.
what's up, QE?
I like the thicker ones. I don't like the thin ones because those are too flaky for me. So I like the thicker ones. I want beef.
Oh, that is fantastic. I thought QE was here.
Yeah, I cut a couple little bits when he was talking about meat.
Right. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I was just saying, I bought the new FIFA. It's not FIFA anymore. Called FC 24 because they lost their rights to FIFA or they couldn't come up with an agreement.
I haven't played a soccer football game since I was very young.
I know it's popular with some guys at work that keep playing football. They're in like teams or something.
Yeah, I can't play soccer anymore, man. Like I go out there and I run with my kid, and my knees are so shot from all of the hard working I used to do when I was younger that like I can't run anymore. Running is painful.
Just be a really shitty goalie.
Hey, that's one position I can play. I can play goalie for sure. I just can't jump anymore. I can't do any of that stuff. But
That's
I can
why I
rush
say a
the ball.
shitty goalie. You don't need to be a good goalie. You just need to be a goalie. If anything, it'll be more fun for the kids. They can score easily.
Right. No, I
If you
do go
had
out there and do that.
if you had money, I would be like, get stem cell therapy.
Right. Right.
I hear
I've,
that does wonders.
I've also
What's
heard
up?
that both yoga and hot and cold treatment can help with these kind of things.
Yeah, my dad should have lost a leg and had a peg leg. That's what the doctors wanted. But he was like, no, just put it together however well you can. If it doesn't work and it just dangles off, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, they tried to do that. It dangled off. He didn't like it, and so he found himself a specialist who helped him reconstruct his knee, and then or tried to, and then he used hot and cold to help it heal and
Yeah.
fix it.
And the way I remember him describing it was something to do with like the ligaments or the things that stretch across the knee and putting it in an X instead of having it in two parallel lines to make more tension in it so it wouldn't flop around as much.
Yeah, essentially, he was in a motorcycle accident. His leg
Gotcha.
came off and was just hanging off on some skin.
Gotcha. He said, "Don't cut it off. Just let it dangle."
Stick it on as
No,
well
just
as you can, I think it was.
yeah, stick it on as well as you can.
And when the doctor that helped him make it more usable, and it got to the point where when he's walking, you can barely even tell he ever had anything happen to him.
Right.
But that's the guy who taught him to do hot and cold on the knee to help it heal.
I do that. So I started taking cold showers. Right. No more hot showers. I do cold showers. Probably like once a week. I'll take a nice long hot shower. But I started doing turmeric too. Turmeric has been very helpful.
Well, both are good. You want to get cold showers or do ice bathing, but you also want to get saunas or really hot showers or hot tubs. So you want to do both.
Gotcha. No, I do saunas though. Like I guess that would be kind of the same thing, getting into a hot environment. Like I'll work out, do my cardio on the elliptical, and then like at the end I'll go into the sauna and I'll like sweat it out, sweat the rest of it out.
Yeah, alternating between the two and exposing yourself to these extremes are said to increase your mitochondria levels.
Just not too
That-
fast. You don't want to be jumping from the ice pool into the hot tub fast, otherwise you get like pneumonia.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, pneumonia is you would just get pneumonia from stress. Like I've worked it over and over and over in my head because you know how they always tell you like don't go outside barefoot when it's cold out or you catch a cold, you get pneumonia. And the only reason why is just because you're stressing your body. You go from a comfortable environment to an extremely uncomfortable environment very rapidly, and you you leave yourself exposed longer than what would be considerable, and so you just cause more and more undue stress on yourself. And by doing that, your body thinks something's wrong, and so it stimulates the immune response. That's it.
Yeah, you wanna kind of let your body get adjusted to the extremes. You don't wanna throw yourself into the wood chipper. You wanna slowly but surely strengthen your body until it's easier. And for other people, doing what you might do at that point is impossible. Like kind of like you can even take a simile with a drug addict who's used heavy drugs for a long time can use a very heavy dose, but someone
Right.
who's never used those kinds of drugs, when he takes the dose of the drug user, he's just gonna die.
No, definitely. I understand that.
It's
But
also, I know that like there's at least two ways to get it. Because one, I've gotten it from the whole shock of being in a lot of cold all the
Mhm,
time, again and again and again. Really cold
mhm,
winter, a lot outside with the kids, maybe not dressed well enough and stuff like that.
right.
The other time I got it was because I got like, I don't know, what's it called? The sinus infection, something that led to bronchitis that then led to pneumonia. So I know
Well,
it
yeah.
from exasperated problems, but I know the weaker you are, the more likely you're to get it because your body's not in a good place to handle it.
Yeah.
Right. But even bronchitis isn't an infection. It's just inflammation of the airway. Right.
Yeah.
Like they trick you into thinking that there's all these infections that are going on in the world when really your body is just having a reaction to some outside stimuli, whether
Yep.
it's like weather or chemical or combination.
Yeah.
Something's weakening you.
Oftentimes, also, you go through cycles of cleansing, and so uh, if you put too much stress on your body, putting too much stuff in your body that doesn't belong there, when you hit those cycles of cleansing, you're gonna have a harder time. That's why people have worse seasonal colds
Right.
than others, because their bodies have been under more pressure, have more toxins in them. It's harder to cleanse. It's kind of like when you go to sleep. That's the only time your brain can actually cleanse itself of toxins. That's why we need to sleep. That's why if you just stay awake and keep yourself awake through chemical means, you eventually can't die because
Right.
your brain just collects up toxins because you can only clear them out when you sleep.
Right. Well, and fasting helps too. Fasting is another good way to cleanse your body as well.
You know what's crazy? I've heard that the pig is said to be the most unclean animal because it doesn't have a lymphatic system. Not sure how true that is, but when you look at the way we live as humans, we kind of treat it like we don't give our body or our lymphatic system time to clean itself. We run away from sweating. We sit in the AC all day. We don't go outside. Not all of us. I'm
Right.
just throwing the theory on the table. We're eating
No.
toxic foods, right?
Mhm.
And not giving our body the time to expel it. So, of course, when it gets cold, all the mucus that's already sitting inside your body, all it does is thicken up and get tougher. So now you got to cough it out. And then they
Right.
call it the common cold.
It's also environment can of course play into it. Like when I was talking about the sinus infection that led to bronchitis that led to pneumonia, that was when I started working in a place that I later found out had mold in the walls and
See?
was causing some health problems among the staff. So that might have
Yeah.
played into it.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm like, yeah, spores will definitely cause your body to weaken, right? Chemicals will cause your body to weaken. A bacteria, there are bacteria, like your body is made of lots of different bacteria. And when your body becomes
Yeah.
imbalanced, one bacteria could overwhelm another bacteria, and then you could have a bacterial infection. Like, that's
Yep.
completely possible. But
There's also like you have
but
bacteria that's supposed to be in one place in your body. When it
right,
accidentally or for some reason gets into another place, then that can have problems.
right. No, it like when you look at it that way, and like the science supports all of that. It's only when you start like I won't go too much into it, but when you start looking into mRNA and things like that, like it's all mathematical and hypothetical, just like the globe model. And I know the globe doesn't have a model, but you know what I'm saying. Like it's all mathematical. There's no physical evidence to support it.
Yeah, it's based on assumptions.
I mean, you got a mathematical equation for evidence of this and a mathematical equation for evidence of that. And then when you combine the two mathematical equations, it creates a mathematical probability for the next thing. And it's like, okay, well, you just proved it mathematically, but you didn't show evidence of it physically, just like the globe.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with mathematics. You can use some variables and you can use things, and because you're using things in reality that you know to be true, you can oftentimes extrapolate based on the relationships of the things that you do know how it will go. That does not mean that it will go that way forever or anything like that, but that's how it gets extrapolated.
Also, isn't like the first thing you learn when you're at school in math that you need to show your work? They're forgetting the basic
Ah,
principles. They're not showing their work. They're not connecting it to reality at all.
right. No, like when I was in school in algebra learning uh what is it? Proofs. That was like the worst one ever. I hated proofs. Like it was one thing to do 4 + 4 = 8, right? Like you could just write in 8. But when you had to like literally write it out uh, in a and demonstrate it in a rhetorical fashion, I was just like, this sucks. It was the worst time in math ever. That and statistics. Once I took statistics and I learned like how they were lying with statistics by using these formulas and not using like full statistics, but like partial statistics and meta statistics and things like that. I'm like, oh my God, this is how they're lying about statistics. And my brain like shut off immediately after that.
Yeah, using small data sets and extrapolating outwards into
Yeah.
everything, and that small data set was selected from the small group of people that are all leaning this way.
Right. It has a chi function. And you're just like, what? Like, well, it's within the standard, it's within the variance. I'm like, I don't fucking care if it's within the variance. It needs to be like a complete statistic. Well, we're not working with that. We're just, manipulating numbers. I'm like, I know you're manipulating numbers.
I had a pretty good teacher when I went to the thing beyond the grade school thing and the high school thing. I don't. What did they say it was called in English again? It's like college. Yeah, okay. When I went to what is kind of what our version of college, when I went to statistics or stuff like that, and we were talking about that stuff because I was in economics as my main.
University.
No, it's not university. That's beyond.
Yeah, well, we
Okay.
our system is a little bit different. So our college is kind of like your first years of university, and we have like a first type of schooling, and then another type of schooling, and then another type of schooling, and then university. So we have like,
I gotcha.
yeah, I know, but Bregerskóli, rétt á. Yeah. So like I know that like our school system isn't quite exactly the same as the American one. So there's a little bit of overlap with some things, but yeah, she finished her college degree essentially.
Well, basically, when you're done with school at 16, you can choose to continue your education and pay for your education, which doesn't cost a lot for that 4 years studying. You can either take a general course, so to speak, or you can focus on something. You can focus on social studies, you can focus on economics, you can focus on this or that. I chose economics for some reason. I don't know why. I just thought it was a good idea at the time. But either way, in math,
It
there
served its
when we were
purpose.
talking about statistics and stuff like that, one of my teachers actually had a whole thing where she was teaching us about how they misuse that, how it's abused, and how news. She had examples from the news where they would use the columns where you have like these statistics shown visually and how they're actually changing the values on the lines and making it deceptive. And she made there was almost an entire class about the deceptive use of statistics.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty cool because at least our class was more aware of this because this teacher was smart.
Yeah,
Right.
if you have a really good teacher, you can actually learn a lot in school. If you have a really bad teacher, you don't learn a lot unless you put in the work.
I'm the perfect example of that because, for instance, when we went into the further studying of math to do with economics specifically, when I would ask my math teacher to explain what am I doing with this formula, because the only reason why I kept getting 9s and 10s in math is because I understood the logic behind what I'm doing. If I know what I'm trying to do, I can do it. I don't need to. I don't memorize formulas. I just know which one to apply where.
Right.
But I didn't learn anything a whole year. And thankfully, my class decided they were going to do a refresher before the big exams. And everything I learned to pass that exam, and I managed to pass it amazingly enough, I learned in 1 or 2 days from a student from the university who was a gifted teacher because somebody could finally explain to me what the frick we were trying to do with these goddamn formulas, what the purpose was. I was just like, why couldn't the other guy explain this?
Right. Yeah, no, I understand that completely. It makes the world a difference to be able to break it down from what the book is telling you and put it into a logical fashion.
That's what I think is one of the biggest problems
Practical.
with also our education system is there needs to be more of teaching people to actually teach, not just the subject itself.
Yeah,
Right.
I think a lot of our education systems are corrupted by information that the kids don't need. If the kids were taught logic instead of all this geography and uh, not important history, like you history that teaches you lessons to learn from so that you can create a better society, great.
Right.
uh, history that is just you got to remember the date and name of all of these weird people that just did bad things, and your teacher didn't actually teach you any lessons about it, and you're
Right.
like, what is this? Are these supposed to be my role models?
Right.
I've had, for instance, a good one and a bad one with history. I've had one that teaches you enough that you're like, oh, okay, I can actually remember the stories of what happened because they actually tell you some of the stories of what happened because that's how people learn, through stories. And then I had a guy who wanted us to memorize the imports and exports of each country by giving us a list of the
Right.
country with import and export and what type of farming they use. And then he had a fucking quiz on that as well. And you're like, you seriously want me to memorize just random, this guy imports that, this guy exports that? Like, how is this ever going to be of use to me? How do you expect me to
Right.
retain this for more than a week? It's a
Right.
question of, are you teaching for a paycheck or are you teaching because you want to help people learn?
Yeah, and let's say 4 years from now, when she's graduated and she goes into the job market, those imports and exports have changed. What now?
Right.
All the things you taught her are just useless.
No, yeah, like if you're going to tell me a story about history, tell me about the benefit of it in humanity, right? Like what did it benefit the culture at that time?
What's the lesson? This is why we
Right.
had good stories back in the day, because they all had a lesson to learn. And so
Yeah.
you tell the child the story, and they'd be like, "Oh no," and then you'd be like, "Well, there's a lesson to be learned here. Like, you
Right.
see how she did this? Yeah. Well, that's not what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this because that's much better. We don't want to end up like her, do we? No, we don't."
This is why I use a lot of parables and examples for my kids in real life stories. I'm literally asked for stories every day.
Right.
No, and that's good. And that's like the legends and the mythologies are such a big deal for that because there's so many parables, there's so many counter conversation or parallel conversation in that. You got the character, the story, and how it relates to their life, plus how could it relate to your life as well.
Yeah, that's how, for instance, the Norse mythology shaped a lot of the behavior of the old Norse society. When people act a certain way, it reminds them of the characters of the god. And so when someone is like Thor, he gets respect as Thor should have. And when someone is like Loki, you realize that he's a snake and that you should be careful around this guy. So there's a
Right.
lot of different elements of the stories that help people understand if the lesson is taught with it.
Even just like the old Icelandic sagas, they make us read those in school. Like, I still remember some of those moments. Are like my favorite moments. I still remember, for instance, we had one where it's a perfect example of a woman scorned, where her husband slapped her once, and then later on, when their house is under siege and he's shooting from a bow and arrow from the top floor, and his bowstring snaps. But she is famous for her long hair, so he asks her for her hair so he can make a new bowstring and keep the men at bay that are gonna come and kill him. And she
Right.
said, I told you I'd repay you that slap. You won't get a single hair from my head. And they killed him.
It's a great
It wasn't
example.
even unreasonable for him to slap her. I mean, she was starting a blood feud and some shit over some murdered cousin or something.
Right. But she made a promise and she kept it.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Yeah, it's a lesson to like if you depend on someone like a loved one, don't treat them badly because it might just come to bite you in the ass.
Right.
But if we're gonna finish our show before I have to go to sleep, I work tomorrow, then we need to sign off for now.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for staying and entertaining me.
It's always fun talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for helping us keep things flowing. Otherwise, I would most likely be playing clips or already put the bot on.
Right. Right. And there were lessons in here. Anybody who is out there listening, I'm sure they got uh, a different perspective.
Yeah, and it was Flat Earth related, boys. It was all happening on the Flat Earth.
And the whole education system thing, that ties into the indoctrination thing.
Yeah. Even the virus thing, it tied into the whole mathematics without actual evidence, just like on the globe.
Yeah, this has all been a big ass metaphor for globers.
Sick.
Okay, but we're seriously gonna go watch the show. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Anybody else in here want to chat? Otherwise, I'll probably put the bot on. Nobody in particular? All right. Y'all asked for it.
You know what? I'll read this because it's been a long time since I read it, and nobody never knows like how I go in because it's like all most people hear is, "Damn, this dude's mic is terrible," and then they hear me screaming. But I did some work here. Let's see. Let's see. Where is it? Astronomer. Why would they lie? Right? Because this is before I got my new conversation. I wish a heliocentrist would ask me why they would lie, because then I go to who's they. Okay, the people that say that we're moving around the sun, that would have began about 500 years ago with Copernicus, and Copernicus is a priest. You want to debate that? We can do that. But anyway, I don't know anybody who would be, family to a certain unit of people. Like every family has their profession thing, right? So, he grew up in the church, he worked for the church. And in order to be a bishop, or in order to be a priest, you got to be a bishop first. So if his name is on text to be a priest, so I can't say he was, but in order to be a priest, you got to first be a bishop. So all of these things, I'm like, yeah, the people that were in the church for some reason told these people who couldn't read the Latin text at the time that the Earth was moving. Obviously, that's why everybody fucking left. And that's why they changed their tune. Oh, the church is not saying this. Well, we're not saying that. We're actually listening. You're lying. But anyway, so it's just like that. Who's lying? Well, the people that have said that we've moved around the Earth. Now, how do I know that they're lying? Why? Fast forward 400 years later, Edwin Hubble says, and this is where Winston picks up. He always runs my favorite quote from Edwin Hubble. And Edwin Hubble basically said, yeah, we don't have any evidence of it, like any actual evidence, but this is what we're going with. That's basically what he said. So I'm like, okay, so he's the protege for all of his descendants, which means, well, for all of his, you know what I'm saying? So that would mean you should definitely fucking know why it was proposed that the Earth goes around the sun. So you telling me that there's no evidence, Einstein telling me that there is no evidence, everyone else telling me that there's no evidence, but that's what they're going to go with anyway, just tells me what I need to know. All I need to know is you guys didn't actually have any evidence. That's it. So why are they lying? Well, if there are people who claim to be, you know, the church body, and they're going against the cosmology in the very first book of their cosmology, they're probably doing that because they don't want to accept God. I can't see any other reason why anyone would lie about the religion that they're inside of. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, well, why don't you think about that instead of asking why they would lie? So like, you know, it's so flippantly, like it's like you really don't want to know the answer because it's really deep. But anyway, before that, I wrote this down, and this was a comment from someone else, and I'll end it like this. I'll give me 60 seconds to go through, and then I'll be done. So I took some astronomy classes, in college, and I took psychology. I'm 100% flat earther. Oh, look, flat earthers go to school. Wow, I didn't know that. Education is not truth. Being taught something for 10 years and making 90,000, so it's 90,000, to teach it doesn't make it true. Keeping the lies going will keep the funds coming. And unfortunately, academia will continue to be a joke. Academia alone is the main reason they will never tell us the truth. And by the way, we have quotes upon quotes upon quotes of other physicists, scientists, astrophysicists in this field, either in modern times or before, that have literally said, I dare not go against the paradigm. I dare not go against academia. So when people are asking, well, where are the people that are questioning shit? Well, why are there so many people saying I'd rather not go against it? I mean, it's open your eyes. Anyway, unfortunately, academia will continue to be a joke. Academia alone is the main reason they will never tell us the truth. You can ignore you can ignore the spiritual side if you desire, but academia would be destroyed in many aspects, and we would have chaos. Anyone who teaches astronomy out on the streets, an astrophysicist at a university on the streets, I guess they're the same thing. Homeless and no more, $90,000 check. University libraries gutted, and the books for the college classes tossed. Libraries would be imperiled. The entire educational system, Rockefeller system, it goes twofold. One is for your education, and two is
Rockefeller, y'all.
make money. But I'll breeze past that. Libraries will be imperiled. The entire educational system for teaching of the globe, space, astronomy, and so forth is basically destroyed by the truth. So, shape doesn't matter. Need more of a motive? Isn't that enough? Want more? How about NASA is finally shut down and the biggest court case ever would ensue? No more $58 million a day for green screen, harness videos, and stories of water on other planets. No more fake tragedies. Every tragedy that happened would have to be accepted as a fraud. Imagine the chaos of reaction from the American people. It would be genocide for the government. Every government on the face of the earth would be questioned, and the people with torches and pitchforks would be on the street. So when someone says, why keep the lie going, think about this. It doesn't take much effort on your part to just open your eyes.
Ms. Downs, does Google think that this is a problem, and what is the solution that you're coming up with to address it?
Thank you for the question. So as you noted, when Alex Jones posted the video you described saying that the survivors of the Parkland massacre were crisis actors, that violated our harassment policy. We have a specific policy that says if you say a well-documented violent attack didn't happen and you use the name or image of survivors or victims of that attack, that is a malicious attack and it violates our policy. In terms of conspiracy theory content generally, our goal is to promote authoritative content to our users. So we have two principles that guide the way here. That's the first one, is we want to provide users with authoritative, trustworthy
Ms. Downs,
information.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I only have a minute and a half, and I don't really need to hear what you're trying to provide. I want to know how you're dealing with all these conspiracy theorists on your platform.
So the first way is by demoting low-quality content and promoting more authoritative content, and the second is by providing more transparency for users. So we're introducing boxes that provide factual information at the top of results that have shown themselves to turn up a lot of information that is counterfactual, such as searching for the Earth is flat on YouTube, where you see a lot of
Your response is to
videos
put a
claiming
box
that.
saying, nope, the Earth is not flat.
Correct.
Okay.
You know, we partnered with Google, for example. If you Google climate change, you will, at the top of your search, you will get all kinds of UN resources. We started this partnership when we were shocked to see that when we Googled climate change, we were getting incredibly distorted information right at the top. So we're becoming much more proactive. You know, we own the science, and we think that the world, you know, should know it, and the platforms themselves also do. But again, it's a huge challenge that I think all sectors of society need to be very active in.
All right, listen.
If I was to tell you 3 simple questions, would you be able to answer them about the globe? Do you think?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay,
Maybe.
3 simple questions. How have they measured the curvature of the Earth from ancient times up until today? They said that the Earth was established to be a globe at least 1,000 years. For at least 1,000 years.
Well, I couldn't tell you the scientists because I haven't got anything up in front of me. But there's some scientists who used a mountain and also a lighthouse. It was somewhere in Egypt or something. And he basically went up. He knew the distance between these 2 points, went through them to sort of figure out the distance between the top points, the bottom points, and then sort of work out the curvature of the Earth.
Alright, so what I'd like to ask you is that the method that you're speaking of right now, do you know it fully, or are you just kind of vaguely responding to what you think it was?
Vaguely responding.
Okay. Yeah, it's good that you're honest in this conversation, because that is key, right?
Yeah.
For us to have a good discourse.
Yeah,
Alright, so since you are vague, I would say that, well, you just believe that that's how they measured it, right? I mean, because of the information that you received and how you're telling us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now up until this point, is there any time in recent times that they've measured the curvature of the Earth that you know of?
Well, I'd use this may not be a good answer in your book, but you can use the ISS as an example, as when they go up at whatever distance they are from the surface of the sphere that we live on, well, they can see that it is in fact spherical.
Okay.
It's just like your own eyes. You can sort of believe it.
Right, your own eyes, but not your own eyes, right? At the same time, because it's not your own eyes; it's their own eyes. They're telling you the story from that place that they're at.
They are telling you the story.
Right. So you're basically believing what they're saying. Once again, you're believing what some. Right. So we're just establishing, that as much as we're not going to get into any details right now in this conversation. But so far, what I'm gathering is that you just basically believe what they're telling you. So that's fine. That you just believe that they said that the Earth is measured to have curvature. Yep. So we'll go ahead and go to the next question, which is, how do you know, or how has it been measured that the Earth has been detected to be spinning on its axis, axial rotation? So what method do you know of that we can actually do, or has been done, that detects axial rotation?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, honest answer. All right, so we'd say that you just believe that however they detect that the Earth is spinning on its axis, they must be correct, because there's been a lot of people that have detected it, or a method has been done to detect it, right? You just believe that to be the case.
I just believe it.
Okay, so third and final question is the vacuum of space being a medium that we could travel to, or that it actually exists as a medium that they tell us. Now, how can we establish, or from your first-hand perspective, that the vacuum of space is indeed a adjacent to the pressure air that we breathe?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, so real quick, I'm just going to round up the three first points that I just brought to you right now. And these are the positive claims that the globe Earth makes, right? That there has been measured curvature, that we have a detected axial rotation, and the vacuum of space is indeed a reality that exists next to the air pressure we breathe. But with these questions, we found out that the only thing you know is that you believe that all these three questions are true. You don't know that they are. You just believe them. So far as you know that secondhand information has gotten to you, and you believe that the Earth is a globe that is spinning in the vacuum of space. So it's not established as true knowledge. It's only something that you just believe it to be true, and you agree with me. So
no, hold on. Well, you're just assuming that I agree with you. I don't really. No, because you're saying that this information that I know is just a belief.
It is. We went over that. You just conceded them.
No, I didn't concede them. I said I don't know how they work.
Right, you just believe.
You. What the fuck?
Yeah, you just said you conceded. You believed all three of the points. I'm glad it kind of hit you right now. It's the first time that's ever happened. It hit somebody at the end, but I'm glad you actually saw what I was doing at the very end.
I just said that I don't agree with everything.
That just happened. I know that you don't.
It just happened.
I know that. Listen,
people are capable of misspeaking. Hold on. You interrupted Ben the entire time. Can you just shut the fuck up for 1 sec? You really are a rude arsehole.
Hang on 1 second. This is the first time. Shut up. This is the first time that's ever happened that the guy actually, listen to this, right? He actually conceded the 3 points all the way through. Now he's backtracking and saying, hold on, what the hell just happened?
That was
this is amazing, right?
No, it's specifically done. I just believe that it was been done. So yeah, we're stating a point that it's just a belief because you don't know.
So you do understand the power of my kung fu now, right? You just got beat on and didn't even know it. So here's the thing, though, homie. And I know you're not gonna like this because I have you muted, but I have to because you were being very disrespectful. So you just believe that the Earth is a globe spinning in outer space. And you conceded to all 3 points, mind you. And it was live streamed. Everybody heard you concede those points. So it's not only that you conceded it, but we have tons of witnesses right now. About 50 people listening on the Discord, and about maybe 60 or 70 on the 2 live streams that we have running. So thank you very much for your participation, but it seems like you're not going to be very good to have a conversation with because of the way you were being. So unless you're going to say that you're sorry in a DM, then I'm probably just going to leave you muted for now. And let's get to some other new people that are in here.
I'm going to talk about a mind virus, and I'll describe it to you in a way so you can understand. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions. If you can just respond to me in the most honest way possible, and then we'll see if you can understand what I'm talking about here. So first question would be Flat Fact 64. Are we talking on Discord?
To my knowledge, we are, yes.
Okay. Are you 100% sure we're talking on Discord?
With the reality of this world, no, I'm not 100%. We could be talking on flaming Goo for all I know. I mean, the reality, I don't know. No, I mean, I cannot. I don't know. I cannot definitively say to anything 100%.
Okay, so the mind virus has reached you. Now let me explain. Now that you said what you said, you answered honestly, and I appreciate that. But I'll tell you how the mind virus is still latched onto you. This mind virus that you can't know anything to be 100% sure is going to keep you from the truth. It'll stymie your critical thinking. It will stop you from looking into things.
Send in the clowns.
Like if I was to ask you, Sirus, right? Go ahead and tell me what you're doing right now. And I don't mean exactly. Generally, what are you doing? Like
sitting on my computer chair.
Okay, if I was to say you're 100% sure of that, what would you answer?
No.
You're not 100% sure that you're sitting down?
Not 100%. Like 99.999999999%.
Oh, okay.
Bomb has been planted.
Let me get a question in for Riverboat. Hey, welcome to the server, by the way. Can you for 100% guarantee that you're
nothing's
sitting
100%.
down in a chair talking on Discord?
Nothing's 100%, man.
Oh, okay. That's all I needed to know.
What kind of shit is that?
So let's go to the second follow-up question, which is only 2. There's nothing really big. Are you 100% sure you're talking on Discord? I know that's redundant, but please answer the question.
Am I 100% sure? No.
There you go. Audience, that is it. Mr. Sensible, your goose is cooked. What are you doing right now? Just tell me what you're doing. That's as simple as that. What are you doing right now? Be honest. Like, I don't have to know, but
I believe I'm sitting down on my chair, and
I'd say
that's
But just, sir, you're not going to tell me, and that's, I believe. Okay.
He just said he believes he's sitting in a chair.
Yeah, you said that. I mean,
Can I defend myself here? Is that okay?
Please.
So I don't use prediction a lot. So I don't interact with the world in absolute facts. It's all based off assumption. Those assumptions have a degree of probability as to whether they're correct or not. So I assume I'm on Discord talking to you guys right now. I can't 100% say that's a fact because I might not exist at all. I've got, I'm that type of person, but I can pretty much say it's 99.999% sure that I am here talking to you guys. That's what I mean by nothing's a fact, things are a presumption, but they have a degree of probability attached. If that makes sense.
We get that. We get that. You're not 100% sure of anything.
Correct.
99.999999999%. Let's find out real quick. Let me just ask this. Punjab, what are you doing right now? You can tell me. If you're not, we'll use another example. What are you doing right now, Punjab?
I assume I'm laying in my bed.
Okay. What? I was just going to ask you if you're sure you're laying on your bed.
He
but
assumes it. He's assuming
just assume.
But wait! There's more! Listen, did you or did you not say you can't be absolutely sure of anything? Did you say that? Okay. Are you absolutely sure of that?
No.
Got him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You can get really close. Like I can be like 99.999%.
Well, yeah, we're not saying
about
any
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever eaten food before?
Very likely, yes. You can't say I'm not consistent.
Bruh. Also, like whatever you're doing right now, are you sitting down, standing up? I mean, what are you doing?
I'm sitting down.
Okay. Are you 100% sure you're sitting down?
I hope so, yeah.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Are you 100% certain that you are speaking with us on Discord right now or not? Oh, fuck.
Tough one. No, it's not. It's not tough. So you can say you're talking on Discord, right, Corpuscle?
Yeah, I suppose I'm talking on Discord, yeah.
Suppose? Wait. Well, why was there hesitation, and why now is it you're supposing that you're talking on Discord? Tell me about why you think that.
Because I could be just a dream in the mind of God. Who knows?
You're doing something like if okay. I'll ask you this: what are you doing right now, Corpuscle? Standing up, sitting down, laying down? What is it?
I'm sitting down and I'm about to eat some bread.
Okay. Can you tell me that you're doing that 100%? With all certainty.
No.
Hello? What did you say?
No. I said no.
Why?
Because I know that I can't fully trust my senses because I'm somebody who's literally delusional. I've literally had false memories. So you're the wrong person to ask that.
Shut up, bitch!
I'm not 100% with anything. Right, but I am more than 99% sure.
Excuse me. You're not 100% that the Earth is a globe. Well, I'll tell you
nothing's
what.
nothing's 100%. Nothing's 100%.
What?
Nothing's 100%.
What are you talking about? Okay, so let me ask you a question. That just because you said that, you need to answer this question. This next one I'm going to ask you. Have you ever eaten anything?
Oh yeah. I might have eaten something, right? Okay, and then now I remember eating that. Now what if there's a very small possibility? There's a very small possibility that my memory has been altered. I'm a schizophrenic. I'm suffering a psychotic episode. Yeah, I can introduce factors that I'm completely unaware and oblivious to. So, if I ate something, there's a high probability that I'm correct that I ate something, but it's not 100%. Nothing's 100%. Right?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But let me finish the point here. Quantum mechanics, the most technical field of science currently, is not 100%. They use probability.
Why would I talk to a psychopath? You just finished saying you just finished saying you could be schizophrenic. Why would I want to have a conversation with a schizophrenic?
I was making a hypothetical situation.
No. You just said I could be schizophrenic. It's not.
Yeah. To tell you, are you 100% sure that you're sitting down watching your screen?
Well, nobody knows what's outside their perception.
No, that's not what I asked. What I'm asking is exactly what you told me. I'm just repeating it back to you as in, are you 100% sure that what you told me is exactly what's going on?
No, because you don't know what's going on outside of your taste, your smell, your hearing, your sight.
Okay, so this is the issue that we have.
Are you swimming in an ocean?
Probably not.
What? Probably not. Well, that's
He's
that
not
guy.
even sure of that.
He's whispering in your ear again. That professor.
You would have to define what an ocean is and what.
No. You know. Like, no, we don't have to get into semantics. So for the reason of this conversation, we both understand each other in a way we know what we're saying. So you know what I mean when I say ocean, right?
Excuse me. You can roast me for saying this, but I don't think I can touch a ball before, so.
He probably is. Hey, man, are you talking on Discord right now?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't even get the second one. You're already caving. What the hell, bro?
I think so.
Oh. This is madness, man. Yeah, all you guys, you live in your own fantasy. Have you ever eaten before?
Bomb has been planted. Yeah, I think so.
Look at this guy.
I don't think he remembers his last meal.
No, you don't remember when he's eaten. Or if he has.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
I can prove that.
Oh, he can't.
How big is the jar your brain in?
Are you a brain in a jar sitting on some shelf somewhere?
No, I don't think I have one of those.
I don't have one of those. Listen to this guy. Not if you have one. Are you one? In one? Are you in a jar?
I think he's just a jar. He's not even in the...
Are we talking
I just said I believe I'm on Discord.
Are we talking
I
on
believe
Discord?
so, yes.
Okay. Are you 100% sure that we're talking on Discord?
I can't be, necessarily.
There you go.
To be plugged in to a simulation, something like that.
There you go.
Are you sure about that?
How about, what are you doing right now? Are you sitting down, standing up, Deck?
I'm sitting down right now.
Hi, how sure are you of that? Are you 100% sure you're doing that?
I'm pretty fucking sure. As sure as I can be about anything else.
There's damn good evidence, isn't there?
Guys, it's not that fucking hard of a jump to understand that if you don't know if the world is real, then you can't know if anything's real. Like, it's not surprising.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
Are you staring at a computer screen or a phone?
Computer screen, yeah.
Okay. Are you 100% sure that you're sitting down staring at a computer screen?
I mean, that's a pretty philosophical question.
Not really. No, it's not really. It's not really.
Definitely folding for the globe.
A few moments later.
As a logically thinking human, you would then tell me, well, I'm sitting down and I'm staring at my computer screen, right? And then if I was to follow up and tell you 100% certainty, do you know that you're doing this? Without the professor's voice in your ear, what would you tell me?
Sure. I'm 100% sure.
Right, and what would give you that inclination to tell me that?
In my defense, I'm a social sciences student, so again,
right,
my inclination would be to say that based off my conception in my mind of reality, the way my brain interprets its sensory input.
There you go. Because of your senses, you start to realize the world around you, and you're able to navigate. So you're telling me exactly what's going on.
Ego, are you 100% sure that you're speaking to us on Discord right now or not?
No. Bruh.
Oh,
there you go.
Fuck.
Yeah. There you go, Levelist.
These fucking people, dude. These relativists, dude. What the fuck is going on?
I'm telling you, bro. You don't know until you know, and now you know.
That in my epistemology, I don't believe you can have absolute knowledge.
What epistemology is that? Shit for brains?
No. Let him finish. Let him finish. You don't think you can have absolute? Your epistemology is what?
I'm a fallibilist.
Oh, okay. So you don't think you can have absolute knowledge? There's no objective truth.
Well, I think I can know that I exist. And I think I can know that certain logical truths are like. True.
Have you ever eaten before?
I think so, yeah.
What? From 1 to 100%, how sure are you that the Earth is in fact a spinning globe in a vacuum with a radius of 3959?
I'd say 99.2, something like that.
Shut up, bitch!
Oh my God! It's all over. It's all over for him. I don't know if you realize it, but it's over.
Hold on, not yet. Clear?
24/7 Flat Earth Discord. Go get VC verified.
Hi, I'm Josh Clark, and this is Brain Stuff, and I'm here to answer a very pressing question. Have you ever been standing at the edge of water, say like an ocean, and looked down on the horizon and said, I wonder exactly how far away that horizon is? You know, where the sky meets the sea, that's the horizon. Well, it turns out because the Earth is curved that it depends on where you're standing and how far above water you're standing. Let's say that you are in the water, right? And you're up to, say, your eyes are about 8 inches above the water surface. Well, again, remember the Earth is curved, and despite the ocean seeming flat, they actually curve themselves, which if you've ever really looked at the horizon, it kind of goes like this a little bit, which is pretty cool. But it also goes like this, right? So if your eyes are 8 inches above the water, right then you're about a mile away from that horizon point where the sky meets the ocean as far as you can tell. If you're standing up above water and you're like, I am about 6 feet tall, that means your eyes are about 5.5 feet above the water's edge, which means that you're about 3 miles away from the horizon. Isn't that amazing? Going from 8 inches above water, 5.5 feet above water, is the distance between 2 miles between you and the horizon. Mind-blowing, if you ask me. If you like this video, there's plenty more where it came from. You can subscribe to us on this YouTube channel. You can like us. You can just spend the rest of your life watching Brain Stuff videos. I advise it.
Of this size, the International Space Station would be orbiting about 1/2 inch above the surface. And that dude who jumped out of a perfectly good balloon, what's his name? Felix Baumgartner. He would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump. Now, you know, I don't. It's fine. He wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they made sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that." No, he's not. At that height, you don't see You don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat.
When it comes to where you are, where you're standing, what you're standing on, do you have any ideas around that? Like, what do you think? What do you perceive? What do you experience?
I think it's quite spherical.
What you're standing on is quite spherical. What leads you to believe that in your kind of everyday life, your experiences?
Probably from what people who know more than this have told me. Well, no more than me have told me.
Okay, so it's not anything that you, as a thinking human being, experience per se. It's just a story you've been told, and you believe the story. Your everyday experience doesn't necessarily match that. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. You could give me maybe an example of how your everyday experience would lead you to trust that story.
Well, it's just I'm taking somebody who knows more than me and has spent more time on this subject than me, his advice, like I do with everything in life.
Yeah, well, one of the things I do that earns me money is I'm an accountant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you might trust me to be your accountant, but being an accountant, if I was not being a professional and not living up to the standards of the profession, I could probably figure out a way to swindle some money off you without you knowing, right?
Yeah, probably, but I'd say it's quite different than making up scientific proof.
Oh, so you're under the impression there's some scientific proof of what exactly? Because a shape claim isn't really science, that's more measurement, right?
Well, I guess more everything kind of fits and works together, which is what a theory is, isn't it? System of belief.
So when you say everything